Hey guys, in today's video I'll be doing another tropical update and once again talking again about Gamma and then these three other disturbances out here in the Atlantic. Now of course, first off, just going over these first three disturbances, this first disturbance is now Invest 92L it is now approaching getting into the Central Caribbean Sea. It has a 30% chance of formation within the next 48 hours, 2 days, and a 60% chance of formation within the next 5 days. It says environmental conditions are expected to become more conducive for development, and a tropical depression could form next week while the system moves westward or west-northwestward at about 15 miles per hour across the central and western Caribbean Sea and then into the southern Gulf of Mexico. So this is really, honestly, actually, this Invest 92L will be really a big tropical system that I think we're really going to have to watch really closely, potentially even more closely than Gamma, because honestly, Gamma, we know it's now hitting the Yucatan Peninsula, the northeastern Yucatan Peninsula specifically. It is now, as of 5 p.m. advisory, it is at 65 miles per hour. Its peak as of right now is at 70 miles per hour with a pressure of 983 millibars, so it is weakened slightly to 65 miles per hour and 985 millibars, and that makes sense because it's moved over land. And it's moving to the northwest at 8 miles per hour, but Gamma will continue towards the northwest and then curve back down to the south and southeast, or southwest, and hit Mexico again and dissipate. So it looks like it will be no threat whatsoever to the U.S., not even the Gulf Coast, really. It's going to be really 92L, again, that will be the really key system to watch that could actually impact the U.S. going into the future, into next week and next weekend. So we're really going to have to watch this closely. Now, there's these two other disturbances in the Atlantic. I'm not sure why, really, the NHC tagged these, because they're likely not going to become much of anything whatsoever, because both of them will end up, at least in the next 2-3 days, will end up interacting with very strong upper-level winds, so that's going to really tear them apart and not going to be much of an issue whatsoever. Again, it's really going to be Invest 92L that we're really going to have to watch moving forward, other than Gamma. So that is a look at what the NHC is monitoring currently as of right now. Now, going to tropical tidbits, let's show you what Gamma is looking like right now on the satellite imagery. And Gamma still is looking fantastic, even though now it's over land. It's starting to weaken a bit, but you can see it has a very nice, well-rounded center with lots of heavy, strong, tall cloud tops over the center, where it's at -80, -90 degrees Celsius cloud tops, and has great vorticity with it, great spin, pretty good outflow as well. So it's a pretty healthy system, especially for really intensifying, just like down south in this area before it hit the Yucatan earlier this morning. So that was a very, very interesting thing to see. It strengthened from first being tagged yesterday at 40 miles per hour to strengthen all the way to 70 miles per hour within like 18 hours. So that's nuts. You don't technically really see that all too often with those kinds of systems, especially within that short amount of time as a proximity to those systems with land. So that's very, very cool. Now, here's the hurricane model track guidance. You can see they all bring Gamma down to the south and west, closer down towards Mexico. But then it looks like actually some of the models do start to take it, curving it back towards the north a little bit, getting towards around 120 hours out from now. So we're gonna have to closely watch that. That's a very interesting thing to take note of, because that would mean that it may start drifting northward and get closer towards the U.S. Gulf Coast. So really, we don't know as of right now. As of right now, all we know for sure is that it's going to continue to impact the Yucatan and then curve down to the south and southwest, and then we'll see what happens from there. Here's the intensity guidance. You can see this is the 18Z run, and still two of them get into Category 1 status over the next 12 to 24 hours. This one also shoots it up into Category 2 status. And then there's also another one getting out towards 108 hours out from now that shoots it into hurricane status and all the way to Category 2 status, getting close to Cat 3 status. So that's very interesting. We're really going to see what happens with Gamma in terms of its intensity, because depending on if it doesn't interact and fall apart and make landfall in Mexico, as it most likely looks right now with what the NHC's forecast is looking like and what the models are generally showing right now, And if that doesn't happen, it like starts curves back towards the north and stays over the open waters of the very warm Gulf. That could mean that it could remain at tropical storm status and then have an even extra time to get to hurricane status if that does happen. So that'll be very, very interesting and very, very crucial to monitor for the system. And one other thing I want to show you Invest 92L, what that's looking like right now. 92L is, it has, we gotta let this load in a bit, but look, it has some convection with it and has some amounts of spin with it, some vorticity, but we still gotta give it definitely at least another 2 days for it to really get its act together. Yeah, I think we're really gonna have to wait until we get towards Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to see this thing really get its act together to really become a tropical system, or at least a tropical depression. Though the really fascinating thing about this is that well, there's only 2 models as of right now that are being used for the hurricane model track guidance, but they both are in very good agreement. In fact, they both take it towards the north and west through the rest of the Caribbean into the Gulf, right through the sweet spot between the Yucatan and Cuba. So that'll be very, very interesting to see if that actually does occur, because that would mean it would have even more time to strengthen and have and not interact with that land. And then it looks like as of right now they're taking it towards the Louisiana Gulf Coast line. So that's very interesting. We're really, really gonna have to watch that closely. The GEFS Ensemble Model Track Guidance, also like the Hurricane Model Track Guidance, takes it towards the northwest through pretty much right through that sweet spot between the Yucatan and Cuba and into the Gulf. So that's very interesting that they're having a very good agreement. But of course, there's the GEPS, the CMC Ensemble Model Track Guidance, and I don't even why am I showing you this? This is just so off. Just disregard that entirely, please. This is the most interesting thing, though, for Invest 92L. This is the model intensity guidance, current one, the 18Z run for it. And pretty much all of them except 2 models get into tropical storm status, and then all of them get it into Category 1, 2, Category 3 status. One of them gets it extremely close to the borderline being Category 4 status, so that's very interesting. We're really going to have to watch this one closely, because this, honestly, again, guys, this could be actually our next big system, potentially even our next major hurricane of the season. We could have maybe with this one just one more major hurricane of the season. So there is always that chance with October, because October is somewhat known to have those surprise systems that really all of a sudden rapidly strengthen and become crazy strong major hurricanes that are potentially even as well devastating, such as Wilma, such as Matthew, Michael, especially Michael and Wilma. So that's very interesting to take note of. Now, the forecast models, I'll show you the GFS model and the CMC model, what both those models are thinking right now for Gamma and Invest 92L as of right now, and then I'll show you what the European model is thinking on pivotal weather after that. Let me go actually to the Western Atlantic, get an even better, closer look in on the systems. So, all right, so yeah, here is Gamma right near the Yucatan, and then Invest 92L is over here with all that moisture. Now, we bring this forward in time. You can see the GFS has it, and it has Gamma hanging out right around the Yucatan and just kind of dying off a bit, and doesn't really do anything else with 92L, so that's very interesting. But you can see, actually, the GFS kind of has Gamma hanging out right around it within the Bay of Campeche, and then drifting north closer towards the Texas and Mexico border there. So that's very interesting. That's a very interesting thing to take note of what the GFS model is showing right now. So that's what the GFS model is showing for both Gamma and 92L. GFS is really not picking up at all on 92L, and that's not that big of a surprise since 92L isn't really a tropical system yet, so the models have a much harder time picking up on that sort of thing. So we're going to have to wait till 92, I think, is a tropical depression at the least for the models to really pick up on it. Here's the CMC model. Again, there's Gamma over here near the Yucatan, right over the Yucatan, and there's 92L. Bring this forward in time. You can see the CMC really has Gamma really weakening and dissipating, and then also doesn't really do much of anything with 92L either. So that is a very interesting thing to take note of. But then actually, as you can see, Gamma kind of its remnants start hanging out and dissipating over the Yucatan, but then start drifting northward and kind of trying to keep its act together slightly, at least kind of be a remnant really weak system as it drifts north towards the Gulf Coast. So that's very interesting. Maybe the Gulf Coast needs to keep an eye on it for getting closer towards the middle to end of next week, it seems, for Gamma, which is very interesting to take note of. But really, 92L, I gotta say, the Gulf Coast, really, you guys need to watch out for that system. Even though the models aren't picking up on it that much right now, the intensity model guidance is really picking up on the fact that it could actually strengthen a ton and be our next major tropical system. So that is that's really going to be something you're really going to have to watch out for. Now here's what the European model is showing for Gamma, and then 92L I'll show you in a minute with Gamma, the European model is showing for 92L. And as you can see, we move it forward. The European model has Gamma moving offshore the Yucatan, the northern part of the Yucatan, and hanging out right along the border of the Yucatan, and just offshore near the over the Gulf still, and then it goes farther south, and its remnants start to die off, and then there's 92L. The European model is the only model really picking up on the system, really starting to try and strengthen. So that's very interesting. And we move this forward out in time, has 92L kind of just hanging out there. And what is going on? And just hanging out in the Gulf, going farther north, but has 92L kind of dissipating a bit as it starts to head north. That's pretty interesting to take note of, but that just goes farther out and I'm really not too sure. Really, that's just an indication that the model isn't too sure of what 92L will do after this certain point in time as it gets towards the northern Gulf of Mexico, closer towards the Gulf Coast, and has it started weakening. That would likely not happen if it shows the 92L really strengthening like it does here. It will likely continue to strengthen as it heads back towards the north, towards the Gulf Coast. So that is a very, very interesting thing to take note of. Again, 92L is really going to be the big system to take note of and watch very closely, because that could be truly our next big tropical system. Now, the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season Wikipedia page, again, we've had just a record year of tropical activity. It has been just insane. We have had, this is the second most active Atlantic hurricane season on record, right behind the 2005 Atlantic hurricane season, with a total of 24 named storms. 2005 had the record highest amount of named storms at 28, so we're only 4 away from tying 2005. 4 named storms away from tying 2005. We have a total of 25 depressions, 8 total hurricanes, 2 major hurricanes. We could see another hurricane added to this if 92L is able to really strengthen and really tap into its really conducive environment and become a hurricane. So we could end up having 9 hurricanes with 92L becoming a hurricane, and then maybe 92L, who knows, could become a major hurricane. It seems like the model intensity guidance is really picking up on that, so we could have it bumped up to having 3 major hurricanes total this season because of 92L, so that's very, very interesting to take note of. But in any case, we've had a total of 8 hurricanes total so far this season, 2 major hurricanes so far this season. We have been definitely way above average in terms of named storms forming, just a bit slightly above average with total hurricanes so far this season, and right around average, maybe just slightly below average in terms of major hurricanes so far this season. We've had a total of 138 fatalities total this season, and total damage is now at $24.225 billion in damage. So this hurricane season has been somewhat destructive, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing crazy like what 2017 did especially, or even what 2005 did in terms of total damage. And just really the only thing we can compare this season to 2005 with is the fact of its the total named storms we've had so far this season, with the total named storms that have occurred this season. The ACE value now is at 101.3625 units because of Gamma occurring right now, and even 92L, I think, maybe slightly doing something with that as well. You see the satellite image of Gamma from, this was, I think, earlier, if I can even get a good shot of it. I don't know. There we go. You see it was very well rounded. You can see a very nicely formed tropical storm, very close to becoming a Category 1 hurricane, a weak Category 1 hurricane, so that's very interesting. Again, we've had Gamma, the 3rd name on the Greek alphabet list. We are into the Greek alphabet. It's insane. We're only 3-4 names away from tying 2005. So it's been nuts. It's truly just been insane. We'll see if Gamma becomes a hurricane. It's not as likely anymore. I would have thought the Gamma would have become a hurricane right before it made landfall in the Yucatan. It didn't. It only became a 70-mile-per-hour, very strong tropical storm, just short of being a hurricane, being classified as a hurricane. So, looks like we'll have to see if 92L becomes a hurricane. That'll be the main system that we're really going to have to watch to see if that becomes a hurricane whatsoever. But you can see Gamma has impacted the Cayman Islands, Central America, Yucatan Peninsula, and then it will likely impact as well southern Mexico. And then we'll see what's at all if it does start drifting north somehow and gets towards the U.S. Gulf Coast, see what happens with that. But 92L could be the system again that really brings a lot of damage to a lot of areas, even the Gulf Coast of the U.S. So going into the future, going to next week, really, a lot of these videos will be really on the tropics, mainly about 92L and what 92L is doing. You can see Gamma now is the record earliest 24th named storm, forming yesterday. October 2nd was yesterday, beating Beta of 2005. Beta of 2005 formed October 27th of 2005. So we are way ahead of 2005 in terms of having named storms happen. So it's just been crazy. But again, that's it for today's video, guys. Really hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider liking the video, commenting on the video. If you're a first-time viewer, please consider subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.